Candyman.
Hey, Candyman.
All right, everybody, gather round. The Candyman is here.
Yeah.
What kind of candy do you want?
Everything.
Sweet chocolate, chocolate malt candy, gumdrops, anything you want. You've come to the right
So,
man.
Dec, do you want to take center stage with a speech entitled The Future of Toastmasters?
Candyman.
Hey, Candyman.
All right, everybody, gather round.
That was a great introduction. Olga explained the whole thing, and it's going to be very different. Lots of questions and answers. I hope you're up for that. Let's get straight on. Will live meetings survive? I think they will, but I think they're going to be in a much smaller sense than we've known in the past. I've known meetings you go to, Excalibur in London, for instance, in the dance club, with 46 people in the room. We've all done that. And yet I've been starting clubs and sat there in the cold with one other person or two other people. Meg Hayworth was a great stalwart of mine in that respect. There's a number of things to bear in mind when you ask yourself this question: will live meetings survive? I've been shocked by how little that Toastmasters, including the committees in that, see how bad the rooms are. I would have to say I could count on one hand, and I've been around 18 years in Toastmasters, and I could count on one hand the number of clubs I've been to where I felt comfortable. I would point you towards a book, and write this down, as famous Jim Rohn used to always say, write this down. Very cheap, The Popcorn Report, written by a girl called Faith Popcorn. And she's the leading expert on what hotels should look like, what the hotel foyers should look like, what pubs should look like, what anywhere will look like that has the live public attending. The basic premise for all this, it's exactly the same in Toastmasters, but nobody gives a toss about it. The venue, the room, has got to be more comfortable than the room the person was sitting at an hour ago at home. When you ask yourself that question and then ask yourself about your club, not this club because this is on Zoom, but your club that you go to physically. And then ask yourself a simple question like, why does Toastmasters use so much paper in meetings? I started with Google on the advice of TI. I started paperless meetings in Eastbourne, and it ended up, hold your breath for this, you won't believe this. I started the club, I founded it, and they ended up throwing me out of the club. That is the truth, because of my insistence on paperless meeting, although the whole of the membership had voted for them. They threw me out. So, let me go to you, the audience. Diane, do you think live meetings will survive? What do you think of live meetings? You heard my take on it. And by the way, everybody unmute now, please. Unmute everybody, but keep quiet. Please just put your hand up and leave it up, and I'll see that and I'll come to you quickly. Okay? So Diane, what's your take?
There are people who need the social interaction of a live meeting and who desperately miss it now that we are online. For those people, and those people who are willing to risk getting COVID by being in an enclosed area with other people, live meetings will survive. And there are some clubs that have gone back to live meetings even now. However, a hybrid situation is probably a better answer for everyone.
Diane, may I interrupt? We'll get onto that in a minute. We're specifically talking about live meetings, please.
I'm done.
Olga.
Thank you, Dec. I'm talking about my club in Ireland, which is Fingal Toastmasters, and we're quite a large group, and it doesn't work on Zoom as well as it works in person, especially that intimate, that chats that we have at the break, that connection is more difficult on Zoom. I personally prefer Zoom. I love it. I do better on it, but I can understand a large group, I would imagine, probably need in person, whereas a smaller group, more intimate, probably can do better on Zoom as well as. Thank you.
Interesting, interesting. Let's leave it at that there for a minute and get on to the next item. The next item is, what do you honestly think of Zoom? And I mean, honestly, what do you honestly think of Zoom? My take on it is this: I adore Zoom. I absolutely adore Zoom because I've been on television all my life since I was 14. I love the small screen. I love the challenges of small screen. I love rules and regulations. So I love what we've got to do. Do you know what I mean? I'm forced to do things, like I'm forced to keep my hands close to my face. I love that. I love it. I don't do all that rubbish that people do. So I love the rules and regulations. That's my take on the whole thing. There's one item which I'll throw into the ring now: the cost. It's something that TI have just stepped back and sat on the fence and not said a word. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that it costs nothing to go on Zoom. £14.99 a month, which is nothing. It's a couple of cups of coffee. And yet club members are being charged a full fee. There's only one club doing it properly, and that's EAT, Edinburgh Advanced Toastmasters. So what is your take? Now, all open up, please, and then I can see who is going to put the hand up. April is up.
But I love Zoom because I'm doing stand-up comedy, whereas I used to just do it in a very small area, 12 to 15 shows a year. And last year, we did it all over the world, all over the States, all across Canada, with people in every single province at the same time. That doesn't happen normally. And I'm here. I'm able to go all around the world. I'm on a virtual worldwide tour now. You couldn't do that before. And for my stand-up comedy, we're doing 12 to 15 every 2 months now. So I love Zoom, but I know that people like in person. I'm not standing up and moving around anymore, which is not good. And I know that I miss being able to hug my toasty friends. That's my 2 bit.
Lovely. No, oh, sorry, Janet, you were next.
Concerning the cost that you asked us about, Dec, I would like to see, well, that's a good point that you brought up, that we're paying a certain kind of fee when we're not in person. That's something for TI to look at. I also thought it might be good to have TI look at the more clubs that you belong to, the better rate you get, like for multiple clubs. So it will encourage these dying Toastmaster clubs to stay afloat, because some people would be more willing budget-wise to even join upwards of 10, 15 clubs. It's not unheard of. So I think that there should be a different system, definitely. And personally, about Zoom, I love Zoom. I wouldn't have been able to meet all of you and have these enriching learning experiences as a result, and the camaraderie that I'm enjoying. So I don't miss in-person meetings. I get an increased value from being on Zoom. I'll turn it over to Dec.
That's brilliant. How about you, Paul? You're keeping very quiet there, Paul Egan. What do you think? The fact that you can get all over the world. I'll tell you what I love, just before you speak. I'll tell you what I adore, especially about a club like this. I pick up wonderful phrases. And I jot them down and I use them. I love the way, in this club particularly, say, Malik will say something like, "Excuse me." It's lovely, and I'll just step outside. People from all over the world, we love those phrases, and they're starting to slip into my vocabulary. And I love the ma'am and sir and the kindness and the courteousness. Wonderful. Paul, what do you think? What do you honestly think of Zoom?
I think from day one in the pandemic, when Zoom landed on our doorstep, I think we were all grateful for it. We thought it was revolutionary. We probably, a mere months beforehand, had never anticipated anything like the pandemic, but we certainly never anticipated that we could be connecting to people all over the world and getting through a pandemic with Zoom, building new friendships, connecting with long lost friends, as we've all have done. It's just an amazing technology. It's here to stay. There's nothing wrong with meeting people in person. There's nothing wrong with meeting people on Zoom. I think they're literally virtually the same experience. We've had wonderful nights in Fingal Toastmasters with Ted Corcoran and all our regular crew and Olga and Nullig. And it's like we're all sitting there just having a conversation, in my opinion. Yeah. The only thing we probably miss, as Olga said, is the biscuits and the chocolate and the cupcakes at the coffee break. But my waistline is all the better for that, Dec.
Brilliant. No, look, we haven't heard from you at all. Are you okay to join in? Just say pass if you don't fancy it.
No, I am. And thank you. And you're asking, what do I
Mom.
what do I think of Zoom?
Honestly.
Honestly, like Paul in particular, I think it is just an amazing invention. And I think Toastmasters was a little bit behind, and we were just catapulted, into this new technology. Now, I work in industry, and these forums is the way how industry works, right? And I didn't have the skills. I was terrified of going onto them. I didn't know how to be a host. I didn't know anything about them, and I would avoid them. I learned a whole new set of skills, and in the industry now, I can confidently go onto any meeting all over the world. So from my personal development point of view, it has been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. What concerns me is the skills I had in doing face-to-face, I think I may have lost. And I am terrified now of getting up in front of a live audience, and I think I'm going to have to start again. I think that is going to be a reality for me. It's going to take me a while now to learn those skills again. So my preference is what you're going to get onto. So I won't preempt what you're going to your next question.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, you're fine. That's fine. Thanks a lot, Nolik, for that. That was nice. But I don't think you'll have any worries whatsoever of getting back onto stage. It's like riding a bike. As soon as you get up, you'll be here we go, and it's terrific. I tell you what you will like. I loved and I loved it when we have to be live at Battle at the moment, and I love the freedom of the stage. Because I'm a sort of a big, expansive person. I'm used to being on stage, but I know how to use a television screen, which is great. But you will have no problem, Nolik Cotswold or Mary, go on.
Yes, I'm starting to like Zoom better.
And I'm also in a group of a club that is live, and it's $75 a month at my church. And it's a beautiful big room. It's got all the facilities. It even has a kitchen and everything. And it's just so nice to just the interaction when you're actually live. It's just can't be replaced.
Sorry, Mary, is that a Toastmasters club at the church?
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah, we're in Toastmasters now, so I'm only talking about Toastmasters. Yeah. Yeah.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Alice.
I love Zoom. And I love Zoom because I have been able to travel all over the world in my Toastmasters journey. I go to a club every day. I speak 2 or 3 times a day, maybe more. I have finished all 11 paths and recently received my DTM because I speak every day and I'm able to go to Toastmasters all over the world. At any given time of the day, there is a Toastmasters club.
We don't want to hear about your Toastmasters, so we want to hear about your take on Zoom.
Why I like Zoom, because of what I do with Toastmasters. But I
Lovely.
love Zoom. I love being able to travel.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So listen, do we like hybrids now? Let's get on to that. Are hybrids the way forward? I love the challenge of hybrids. I would have to say, and I said in my seminar last week, I haven't seen one club ever do it what I would call perfectly. We have you'd be bored if you've heard me say this before. We have a show over here in the UK called The Graham Norton Show. If you can have a look at it on Google, on YouTube, have a look. He does hybrid meeting and it is superb. It is perfection. The seamlessness, the perfection. But having said that, he's got 20, 30, 40 technicians behind the scenes. I try to do it with my bachelors, with my brother, first Sunday of every month, and I do it pretty well, as Olga will tell you. The seamlessness, I really work hard at the seamlessness. It takes 13 clicks to get a video playing on Zoom seamlessly, what they call seamlessly. And that is the truth. Don't let anybody else tell you anything else. It takes, with a live hybrid meeting, if you're contemplating it or if you're doing it at the moment, it takes 4 high-tech people within the club who are willing to give 45 minutes, write that down if you like, 45 minutes before the meeting to set things up. None of this 5 minutes beforehand, 45 minutes it takes to set the gear up. And then it takes 20 minutes to take it down. Now, why do I say 4 people? Because odds sods, great phrase I love to use, odds sods, one of them is going to have a birthday or has got to have his toenail taken off or has got to go to Bahamas or sister is sick in hospital. Yeah, that leaves 3. Of the 3 that come to the meeting, one of them will have a flat tire and have to go and have it mended, or he'll just be sick, or he'll get COVID, who knows? And you will always be left by 2. It is essential to have 2 because it is essential to have 2 laptops running and 2 guys looking and taking care of them with the cameras. So what are your takes? Are hybrids the way forward? Let's take Janet. Janet's hand up straight away, Janet.
I think it's situational, like depending on the budget of the club and the willingness of volunteers to step forward and the tech expertise there. If not, I think a compromise would be another option. Perhaps you could have people do a hybrid, to do a Zoom meeting twice a month, and for the other twice a month, an in-person meeting. And so some may miss one or the other meeting, but at least that's a cheaper option for people and more feasible time-wise, like if you have these smaller clubs with lack of technology. Okay, I'll turn it over to Dec.
So there, we've got to wrap up because we're at 20 minutes. My take is, just look at that for technical people in the club. Try and find them. And I'll tell you a good idea, which I'm doing at Battle. I said to them, anybody who sort of volunteers for the job, puts their hands up, I'll do it. We'll give you something at the end of the show, a drink. And there was a guy immediately came and said, yes, a pint of Guinness for me, and I'll do anything for you, Dec. Well, there we are. It's the message of all this, I feel, is that you've got to embrace change. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster, you have to embrace change. If you don't embrace change, you are dead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dec.
Candyman.
Candyman.
Hey, Candyman.
All right, everybody, gather round. The Candyman is here.
Yeah.
What kind of candy do you want?
Everything.
Sweet chocolate, chocolate malt candy, gumdrops, anything you want. You've come to the right man, 'cause I'm the Candyman.